Oops. I think we need a beginning first, right? Don't we?
Yeah, do the beginning.
Hey, yo, I don't know what your problem is, but I'm talking here, alright? Absolutely. Yo, how you doing, alright? I don't know, absolutely.
Hello, everyone. Steve Rizzo here, and welcome to another episode of Hey, I'm Talking Here, or Hey, I Am Talking Here. And we have a really good show in store for you today. We're going to be introducing a friend of mine, Sean Litvak. It's not Vac, it's Vak. I just want you all to know that. And he's going to be talking about his new book called Proverbs for Leadership. And as you folks know, this show is a show about empowerment. It's a show that will not only take you to a better place personally, but professionally. And in my view, that is the ultimate success. And this show is brought to you by Conversations with Bob, which is my new book that came out a while back. And if Bruce would put that up on the board, that would be there you go. See, now I don't have to do it because he just did. And I want to thank everyone for has been purchasing the book and reading the book and all your wonderful comments. Thank you so much for that. And before we get into the show, I want to ask everyone, please share this with your friends, family, business associates, whoever you think could really use a boost in their life personally and professionally. It would really help. And I want to thank, we have Randy Shaffey already. How you doing, Randy? Hey, Steve. Okay, Randy. Nice talking to you. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much. Before we get going, as usual, though, let me bring up my team, my director and producer, with whom we could not be doing this show. Bruce, appear. Wow,
Hello.
see the power I have. I say, Bruce, appear, and there you are. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
How you
So
doing?
basically, the show started with you on camera, and then we went into the opening. So we have a little bit of a. For those who tuned in early, got a little surprise there.
Oh, so that was me opening up the show with
Yeah.
my look like that.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's cool. You can do that. As a matter of fact, it makes it more realistic. And what you should have said was, "We do this all the time because we're real people." That's true. How you doing? Everything okay with you?
Yeah. So yesterday I went to Chicago and saw Chicago.
You live in Chicago. What do you mean you went to Chicago?
Well, I live 30 miles north of Chicago, but I drove
Oh,
into Chicago, and then I
yeah.
saw Chicago.
Oh, did you really? How were they?
It was good. It was a music.
Did you
People
ever
were.
hear? Did you ever hear the Russian band? I want you people to Google this when you get a chance. This has nothing to do with the show, but I don't care because you're going to love this. There's a Russian band. They live in Russia, and they mimic Chicago. It's a video. You could see them playing live. They play every song that Chicago ever did, and you would swear that it's Chicago. I've watched it over and over again. Just Google Russian band playing music from the band Chicago, and these guys are incredible, incredible. It's great stuff. Just thought I'd
Yeah,
show
but
them.
this was actually the Bob Fosse musical version,
Oh, okay, yeah, I get that. All right.
the one with Cell Block Tango and other songs.
Oh, cool, way cool. You had a good time though.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it was actually the third time I saw the play.
Oh,
I saw
cool.
it once here. Saw it maybe like 15 years ago. Then I saw it when I was in New York, about
Oh,
5 years ago, and then I saw it again.
good for you. I'm happy for you.
That was one of the very first musicals I learned about when back in high school.
Oh, wow. Way cool. Hey, Lynn, how are you? Love Lynn. Lynn Serrano, folks. You could see her on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern time with the Lynn and Scott show. It's really good. I'm on that show often, and she has a wonderful panel of experts talking about how to get to a better place in life, similar to this. And right now, with any further ado, though,
Yeah,
I'm going to bring
doesn't
up.
Lynn also have another co-host?
What's that?
Doesn't Lynn also have another co-host?
No, she just has Scott. That's it.
Okay, just
Yeah.
Scott.
Yeah, just
Well,
Scott. Every now and then Scott doesn't make it, and someone else. She'll ask him to be a guest co-host.
well, I'm on a totally different show.
Oh, well,
A
I don't know
show
about
like
that. All I know is the show that I'm on with her. Okay, don't make
Okay.
things complicated. Okay, Bruce.
There's not a show called like Find It or something like that.
Oh, yes, of course. Debbie's going to be pissed now. Yeah, that's of course with my co-host Debbie Bettendorf. Absolutely.
I love it. I'm back here dying laughing. Oh my God.
I'm wondering what the hell he's getting at.
Yeah.
Of course, Lynn produces your show
it's
too.
because of what I named it, you know, because you got to continue to find it. So it's like, what the hell are you talking about? Oh, find it. Find what? Yeah,
Wait a
I
minute.
get it.
Do I have asshole on my forehead right now? I just want to know if it's big enough.
No, but Bruce is right though. Lynn has several shows.
Yeah.
Not just, she's my producer. She does what Bruce does for you. She does for me. But Lynn has a lot of shows with Cheryl Eisenhower and everything. But yeah, I'm here. I'm excited about the show because we have a guest this week.
Yeah, we do. We have Sean Litvak, and we're going to be introducing him soon with his new book. He's going to be talking about why he wrote it, how long it took him, and what the message is in the book. Proverbs for leadership, leadership skills to help others succeed. And what I liked about this book, and I'll talk about this more with Sean when we get up there, is that it hit me in so many different ways. But I'll hold that thought right now. For now, I just want to know where you are right now, because this isn't your original background. Where are you?
Yes, so I'm in Columbus, Ohio. I'm at my daughter's place, downtown Columbus. We love it. And so I got set up here and couldn't get connected to her Wi-Fi, but started early because I'm like that. So I'm in business, coming live to you from Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, that's just a beautiful thing. And let me say a shout out to my good friend that I love so much, Lori Ficken. She's right there on the bottom right there. It says, good
Lori.
evening.
Hey, Lori.
Yep.
Well, let me just say to Barry Butler, hey, Rizzo and Bruce, what am I, chopped liver?
Did you say liver like you're from Brooklyn?
I'm trying.
Shirley, what am I, chopped liver?
What am I, chopped liver? Yeah.
Yeah, come on,
Barry.
Barry.
I think when Barry actually commented, you weren't on yet, so you didn't come on until maybe 7 minutes into the show.
Yeah, that's
Barry. Sorry about that. You're probably right, Bruce.
Yeah. And folks, once again, please share this with your friends. If you have any comments, please make them. We'll try to get to as many as we possibly can. But right now, with any further ado, I want to introduce to you our guest this evening. We don't have many guests on this show. And when we do, it has to be someone very special, which is why I'm honored to have this guy to come on the show. And he's going to talk about his new book. And anybody has any questions or comments, just like throw them out, and Bruce will make sure that he shows them to us. And if we have time, we will definitely get to as many. You're not going to do that? See, Bruce, that's why nobody likes you. Okay.
I still love
you. Am I still on camera? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I pull myself off camera? Because I always do that when I'm off camera. Just like whenever you're talking, I'm like expressing myself.
You do that by yourself?
Expressing myself.
Express yourself. You don't know. We don't know. We can't see him back there. He's probably like.
Well, there you go. Here's another comment to you.
Oh, there we go, Barry. I like the way you're talking now. Right.
No, that's for Steve.
Now we're in business.
I think he's talking to me.
Oh, that's true. Why did I assume it was me?
I'm just saying.
I thought he was trying to think he was getting in there to say hi finally.
All right, so listen, let's bring Sean up right now, folks. It's my pleasure to introduce to you the author of Proverbs for Leadership, Sean Litvak.
Hey, how y'all doing this evening?
We're doing
good to see you.
Yep, good to see you. Great to see you. And thanks for being on the show. Really appreciate it.
Oh, I am so excited to be here with the book being released next Tuesday. This is really the start of podcasts and live streams and talking about the book, and Steve and Debbie and even you, Bruce. I couldn't think of a better place to begin what is a virtual tour to talk about my book.
Well, I got to tell you, I get thrown a lot of stuff sometimes, and I don't have time to read everything. But I did read quite a few chapters on the book, and I think what I got from it more than anything, at first I thought, with what I do for a living, I'm thinking this is leadership skills for business. But what I got out of it, this book is leadership skills for life, in your relationships and marriage, with family, with friends, and for yourself, how to be the best that you can be. And that's what I liked about the book.
It really is. And when you write a book, as I'm sure you know, Steve, you end up reading it over and over and over again after you've written it, because you go through a self-editing process and just rewriting chapters and making changes. And as I was going through the process, in the past year, I've just read it, I don't know how many times. And what's amazing is I'll read it and I'll be like, oh yeah, that is what I think. I mean, not that it's a surprise to me, but I'll read something and it validates how I behave in my life, or how I want to behave in my life. It points out areas where I failed, but I know that I can improve and have improved.
Yeah. I did the same process with my book. I think most authors do. It's, what needs to be done to live the best life that you can live by coming from your authentic self. But it's difficult for people like us to walk the talk 24/7, 365 days a year. And when I wrote my book, I wrote it at the lowest point in my life. I mean, I was beyond depression, and I'm not afraid to admit that. And when I started writing it and I realized I had a book going here, I let it go for a couple of days. And when I reread what I wrote, I didn't even remember writing 80% of what I wrote.
Wow.
It just came out, So, but tell me about what inspired you to write it. Again, because I'm going to say this again, because this is what really turned me on about the book. I've always said, and this book epitomizes this, I've always said that, because in business, people always say you have to be able to separate your personal life from your professional life. And I've always said you can't. It's impossible, because both of them are parts of you that make up the whole of you. And no matter where you go, that other part of you is always going to be with you. And if you're having a problem in your personal life, and many people do, it's difficult not to take those challenges to the workplace. And if you do, it can interfere with creativity and productivity. And vice versa. If you're having problems at work, it's difficult not to take those challenges home. And if you do, it can affect your home life, and it becomes a cycle. So the key is you got to become a leader in every facet of your life. And that goes for women, men, and anybody in any gender, any walk of life, religion, it doesn't matter.
I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, when I started writing the book, I was one that really thought of life as buckets. There's my family life bucket, my marriage life bucket, my business life bucket, my association life bucket. And I started writing the book in 2011 when, excuse me, I was really in a low point. I had started a new job after leaving a company that I had been with for over 20 years. And I knew there was a book inside of me. And as I was working on it, and obviously I worked on it on and off over that time, I knew there was a book within me, and it was originally Proverbs for Business, because I wanted to write a book about how business should be conducted. And I was struggling with writing it. There is a time and a season for everything. And first I was just writing about business. Then I was trying to link it to the book of Proverbs. And I ended up putting it aside for a number of years before picking it up again in 2018, and in earnest, starting to write again and again and working my way through it. And I was determined that in 2020, I was going to write it and publish it. And then COVID hit. And, family had questioned me at different points, is this something you really want to put yourself through? Is this something that you really feel like you should be doing? And frankly, I prayed about it. And God told me that if you write this book, I will take care of everything 5 times over. Now, that can mean a lot of things. And what I've come to realize that means is that 5 times over, I now understand myself. 5 times over, I know where in my life I need to improve. 5 times over, I know I have an idea of how I should be leading people, not just at work, not just at church, not just in my family, but even in my marriage, how my wife and I should interact together, and just how to be a much more fuller, robust, faith man person in every single thing that I do. So what you were talking about, Steve, as having, I called buckets in our lives, this was really me putting together my personal manifesto, merging all of it together, realizing that who I am at home and who I am at work and who I am everywhere is who I need to be. And I think so many people go through that challenge. It is the desire of my heart that people would live the subtitle of my book. You must understand yourself and improve if you desire leadership that produces success in others. At one time, I was a leader that, yes, I was supporting my team, but I was all about myself wanting to shine. And I've come to realize that it's my team that needs to shine. And the only way that they're going to shine is if I understand myself and improve. So there's that part of the book. And I'll say one more thing, and then I'll shut up so you can ask me a question. When I ended up, after interviewing several publishers, 7 in fact, the 7th one I hired, and the person that I was working with, the owner, she said to me, she said, "You have scripture all over this book, but you don't have it cited. You're dancing all around it. Sean, you need to make the decision. Is the book going to have scripture, or is it not? Because if it's not, you need to go through and pull out all those ideas that are scripturally based, or you need to go cite the scriptures and put them in the book." And I made at the time what was the scary decision to say, okay, this is going to be a book for personal growth, for business growth, and it's going to have a scriptural skeleton to it. So I cited all the scripture.
Yeah, and that's what I loved about it. And I went through the same thing with my book, Conversations with Bob, because I think that Bob is God. Bob is God in my book. And I kept thinking, because that big mouth inside your head can talk you out of that. Because I kept thinking, how are my corporate clients going to, handle the fact that I got a book and I'm talking about God and I'm calling God Bob, And but when you ignore that big mouth inside your head and you go from your authentic self, your higher self, or the God part of you, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. You just got to do what you're supposed to do. And as a result, I'm finding out now, and as I'm sure you will too, things start falling in place because this country, this planet needs more of that as a foundation.
The world is craving the supernatural. Okay. Yeah. Whether it is horror movies, whether it is TV shows, I've always been a superhero fan. Well, that's still supernatural. And people just crave the supernatural, and what they don't realize, and this is not as, I'm going to come off a little more heavy-handed now than I do in the book. Okay. But, people need to be turning to God and turning to that supernatural for their answers instead of getting their itch scratched with something that's of the devil.
You mean the ultimate superhero? That's what you mean.
The ultimate superhero.
Because, it's funny you're saying that. This is so weird. I'm watching, I'm flicking through the channels last night and I'm watching Black Adam with what's his name?
Yeah.
Well, he's a superhero. Then I'm flicking, and then all of a sudden I'm looking at reruns of Iron Man, and people are craving for supernatural answers to things. And even Harry Potter, which I loved all the Harry Potter movies. But people don't realize there's that part within all of us that resides in that higher part of us, and it doesn't matter what you call it. You can call it the universe, the light, the force, most people call it God, but it's there. But very few people know how to turn to that for the answers. And that's what your book shows, that it's here. This is what it says. If you follow this, life works. And that's your choice.
You know, I heard someone preach years ago, and this stuck with me. I am a spirit. I have a soul, a mind, a will, and an emotion. I live in a body. This body is not me. There's a spirit inside of me that is me.
Yeah.
And my book, as people read through it and read the scriptures, and for those of you that don't like Bible verses, I used the modern English version. Very easy to read. It's not King James with these and thous and all of that. Okay. It feeds your spirit, and your spirit man, okay, is going to, you know, be fed, and is going to make a difference in your life and give you a different outlook.
Yeah. Deb, you were going to say something?
No, I just think it was, I love everything that you've been saying, and you're very well spoken, and you had my attention during where you said, I'm going to be quiet and let you ask questions. I thought, no, keep going. It's fine. I loved that you said you wanted to be a better leader. And by being a better leader, it's not all about you, but it's about the other people with you. And there is power in numbers, right? It's like we rely on one another, other spirits, other souls, the light of other people to, you know, shine on us on days where we are human. We have our down days, and we're there for one another. So I love that part. But for some reason, this popped in my head. I have not read your book, but I certainly will.
Okay.
But I was thinking, wow, the Bible is like the original self-help book.
It is.
And you've taken scripture and put it into your own version of what other people that may not be used to reading the Bible can read and get a lot more out of it, because you've made it like an easy read for us.
Yeah. He's put it in layman's terms. He really has. He's put it in terms where people go, oh, that's what that means.
Yes. So you'll have the scripture, and then you can elaborate on it. And I am excited to check it out. I really am.
And you know why the book works? The reason why his book works is because when too many people have too many conceptions of what God is.
Yes.
And you know what I mean? And that's what turns people off. That's why a lot of people don't even believe in God anymore. Because, you know, it's, you know, one is saying this, the other one is saying this, and this religion saying this is wrong, and this one's saying this. You put it in a way where you're reading it, and it's like, this is common sense.
That's cool.
You know, and people who don't know me and don't know my history, they're going to say, well, you know, this is just some Christian guy who is trying to make a buck off of the Bible. Well, one, that's not true. And two, I was raised Jewish and considered, even applied to go to rabbinic school, which was obviously before I became a Christian. So I've got a rather unique background. Growing up as a Jew, very involved in the Chicagoland Jewish community. And then later in life, and I say later, in the 90s and in my 20s, inviting Jesus into my life as Lord and Savior. So I've got a very unique perspective that a lot of people don't have about faith and religion.
Yeah, no, you do. And it shows in the book too, which is cool.
That's so interesting.
This is my cousin's son, my nephew, I guess.
How about I read it?
Why don't you?
Hey, Uncle Steve, great show so far. I just got promoted to a sales manager at work. Needless to say, I'm enjoying this episode. I'll have to get a copy of this book. Thank you, Matt.
Congratulations. So for those who are interested in getting a copy, what they need to do is go to proverbsforleadership.com, where they can sign up to be notified next Tuesday to get the link to go onto Amazon and get the Kindle version on the launch date. I'm going to be sending out an email first thing in the morning early, so people can just click it and go get the Kindle version. It's only going to be 99 cents on the first few days. And then
is he frozen on your end?
Yeah, he's frozen.
So
I know what
99
happened.
cents, that's
It's probably from
crazy
him
good.
because he's in a hotel room right now. That's
Oh,
probably
that's
what
right.
happened.
So he's saying you're going to be able to click it and get it for 99 cents on Tuesday.
There we go.
99 cents on Kindle.
There,
You just
now we're back
froze-
in business.
You
We're
just
back.
froze for a minute there, Sean. Maybe you might want to reboot.
Okay, I think I'm back.
You're back, but you're slow.
It'll catch up probably.
It'll catch up eventually. Don't worry about it. You're
Okay.
making your point. It's cool.
So we lost you at you're sending emails out, and as soon as it's available, they'll be able to just click it, get it for 99 cents.
Yeah,
Right.
they'll be able to click it. They'll go right to the location on Amazon, because when you have a new book and you type in the title, it doesn't always appear. Sometimes you need to scroll through it. But I'll be sending out a link to everyone so they can just go get it right away, and it'll be easy to get that way. So all you got to do is go to proverbsforleadership.com and sign up. I'll be asking you your name, your email address, and your cell number so I can send you a text. I'm not going to call you up. I'm not going to be pummeling people with messages. You know, this is pretty standard for a book launch.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Good job, Sean. Litvak. Remember his name.
Litvak. It's Litvak.
Litvak. Very fancy.
You guys are saying it so formally. Litvak.
Well, it's just, I just don't want to, I don't want to say it wrong. So
Well,
what,
it's just that I always thought it was Litvak, and that's what I was saying, Litvak.
And I'll answer to Litvak,
he's been called worse.
Yeah, boy, you should hear what
I
people
have.
tell me.
Hey, this is good, Bruce. This is how it looks. This is what you will sign up. If you type in what's on his the side of his name, then you will just these simple little prompts here, and boom, you're in business. You can get the Kindle version, and then it will become a paperback.
Yes.
Afterwards.
Absolutely. On the 31st, it's just Kindle. There's a process when you're publishing a book, or at least this is what my publisher has told me, and I believe her because she's published some very successful books. And you begin with the Kindle version, you achieve Amazon bestseller status, and then you put out the paperback. So the paperback will probably be out within a week, if not sooner.
Yeah.
How much?
But the Kindle version, for those out there, I mean, seriously, for those out there like, well, I like a paperback. Well, I get that, but I also like being able to hold this up and read a book instead of scrolling through social media. And trust me, it may only be 99 cents on the Kindle to start, but it's still 297 pages.
Oh, good.
It'll take you some time to read it.
Yeah. I have a question for you.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
In the book, do you talk about how you converted from Judaism to Christianity?
I do not. That is not the topic of the book, so to speak. But in a nutshell, I was at an association meeting of business leaders, and there was an altar call made. And frankly, I realized at that time, they asked a simple question. They said, do you know if you die tonight, are you going to heaven? And my answer was no. And I had been through these many, many times, but that night there was something different, that I knew that I needed to invite Jesus into my life as Lord and Savior. So I did. And it was a heart decision. It was a head decision, but it was a heart decision. But it's not like I had this huge conversion experience where all of the shackles of life fell off me and everything was wonderful. And I was out evangelizing and doing all kinds of things. My statement was, yes, I've invited Jesus into my heart as Lord and Savior, but I'm not going to tell anybody about it.
Well,
that's where I started.
Okay. It's just it is interesting to me, your story, but I get that the purpose of your book, and you stayed on topic, through the vibe of the book, which starting the book in 2011 and just now launching it this year, that's a lot of thought putting into that book.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of thought. And when I go back and look at all the files that I have on this book, it began as Proverbs for Business, like I said, but the name changed multiple times. And I'm not even going to try to remember to list the names because I'd have to look at the different files. And I started and restarted and restarted. And it really wasn't until I sat down in 2018 and prayed about it and said, okay, am I going to do this or not?
Mm-hmm.
And that was when, I literally heard from God that this was what I needed to do. So I went forward with it slowly. And then in 20, when I just started editing and editing, Clancy Clark in a mastermind that I'm in called Megamind, I was talking about my book yet again. And Clancy told me, he's like, Sean, just put on your big boy pants and go hire an editor. Keep editing your book.
Yes.
Get someone else to do it. You've got to get away from it because you'll be editing it forever.
Yes, and it's amazing, isn't it? Because an editor, a good editor, can take a good book and make it great.
Yes.
And sometimes you have to battle with the editor because sometimes they'll say, this has to move here, this has to be shortened, and you go, no, because it's your baby. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want anyone messing with your art.
Yeah.
But if you let go and you get connected to that other part of yourself, that higher part, you realize that an editor is usually right 100% of the time.
Absolutely.
A good one. Yeah, a good editor
one.
with experience.
And you talk about, God talking to you. We do have a lot in common because with my book, that happened to me. It was at the lowest, as I said, the lowest point in my life, and I was on Venice Beach at 4 a.m, which I don't advise anyone to do.
Right.
And in California, because
Yikes.
and I lost it, and I remember I was in an emotional wreck, and I calmed down and I took a step and I said, what the hell is wrong with me? And what am I doing here? And I took another step and I heard something within me say, you know why you're here and you know what's wrong. You're just too caught up in your own drama to find the answer. And I knew where that was coming from. And I knew it was the God part of me talking to me.
Mm.
And then
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And then as you write, that. And then you take another step. I took another step and I asked another question. And then another answer, another question before I know the book was writing. And I'm sure you went through a similar process on what to write next. When you let it go and let that part of you take over, it's amazing.
And you guys do have a lot of commonalities. When I was listening to how he was describing how he wrote the book, it wasn't an overnight thing. It wasn't a year or two thing. Steve, it took Steve 7 years to write his
7 years to write it.
And, and you both talk about God speaking to you. And just for our listeners who may not be, religious or faithful or whatever, explain what that is to you. And it may be different for how you hear it. It's not like you hear it, right? It's a feeling. It's like
a feeling.
Place. Yeah.
Well, sometimes it's a feeling, and other times I will hear something in my mind. I will hear when I heard, if you write this book, everything will be taken care of 5 times over. I heard those words.
It's you saying it. It's you.
That's powerful.
It's the God part of you speaking through you saying it.
Okay.
And that's it's hard to describe, but it's an incredible.
Yes, it is very hard to describe. It's not like I heard it here.
Because yes, because right now some people go, okay, now the guy's communicating with God. Okay.
And it's interesting because people talk about New Year's resolutions and goals. And when I was getting my goal sheet ready for this year, I realized one thing I needed to do was to do something different. And so I dedicated this year to doing things God's way, which means I'm going slower and I am pausing more and asking God, okay, should I be doing this? Or when I get a prompt that, hey, Sean, you've worked really hard today. You don't need to work on this evening that you think you were going to work on. I no longer question that. And I have found that I'm getting more accomplished, but I feel like I'm doing less.
Well, Sean,
because I'm listening to God.
Sean, I got to say something right now. At some point in the near future, you and I got to get together. Because what you're saying is what I'm going through, right? And Debbie knows this. Mm-hmm. My statement now is when somebody asks me, what's the key to your success right now? I'm living my life more on inspiration rather than ambition. Mm-hmm. And when I sit in my living room, just doing nothing, there's not that big mouth inside of my head going, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. No, I only do now when it hits me, not because I think I have to. And I acknowledge that quiet time to be by myself, to spend time, to walk on a beach in the middle of the winter by myself and communicate with that higher part of myself, the God
Yeah.
part, whichever you folks want to call it. You know what I mean? And what you're saying, it's one of the reasons why I'm so glad you're on the show, because it's you and I have so much in common as far as that goes.
Well, I enjoy what you're saying too, because I feel like there's so many people, and let's just touch on this again. The fact that when you were talking about people yearning for the supernatural, you know, and it's almost like things are, have been hectic, and even with politics and just everything thrown into the mix, and then COVID hit and all of these things, it's like people just want to have an escape from reality, from their life. And, I don't consider myself a religious person. I consider myself a very spiritual person and a faithful person, because I could care less what anybody's religion is. If they believe in a higher power and their heart is in it and they're kind and they're good. And I just say, I talk to God every day. I ask for guidance, divine guidance. I feel like I'm divinely protected. I feel that I'm so blessed. It just almost makes me get teary-eyed. I really feel the presence. And what I want everyone to know is it doesn't just happen to certain people. Like, Sean, you're obviously a very spiritual man, faithful man, as Steve is too. And I feel like sometimes people think that that's just for someone who's been raised in church and this and that, and they've been around, and they're somehow, the chosen ones. If you talk to God and ask for guidance and really mean it, they'll feel it too, right?
But yes, and that's so true. They will, but that's the key. And Sean, you go first.
Sean,
What were you going to say, Sean? Go ahead.
What do you say to people that way?
And thank you for the compliment that, that I'm a very spiritual man. But here's the thing. I'm just a man.
Yeah.
I'm just a guy. And, I have to, I don't want to say I struggle with anger anymore, because I have learned moderation, but I just
a little anger.
and I've learned to rely on God. And here's the thing. Everybody has faith. It's just a matter of what you have faith in and what you're going to put that faith behind. Even the people who say that they don't believe in God, well, that's their religion. Some people would say, people who are all concerned about the climate and, climate change, that can be a religion to people. That can be a faith. So it's a matter of, I have put my train, hooked it up to God in the Christian, Judeo-Christian standard, for lack of a better term.
Yes.
That I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, but I'm still a guy.
Right.
Okay. And I still say things that I shouldn't say sometimes to people and respond the wrong way. It's not like I'm walking around with a shiny halo.
No.
Right. And so that is even more towards
exactly
the point that Steve is saying too. It's that we're all human.
We're going through the process.
Yeah.
Each and every one of us are going through it. It's just that you and I think, are convinced that there's something within us that we can communicate, not only connect with, but communicate with. And
absolutely.
The answers are there. They may not come in the form of a voice. And if it does, it's that part of you speaking through your voice. It's a feeling. It can even come, there are times when I pray for something and I know it's going to be answered, and a day will go by or 2 days go by, and all of a sudden I'll see a bumper sticker on a car, which is the answer to the prayer, or a billboard, or a song will come on. I'm going, of course, that's it. But the thing is, you have to be aware that an answer to a prayer can come in any form, in any way. It's not that, like you're going to see with some kind of glamorous movie like the 10 Commandments, and you're going to hear, oh, and this cloud's going to come down and this light and all of it. It doesn't happen that way all the time, if it happens that way at all.
Well, and it's funny you bring up that example that, the answers to prayer can come from an unexpected source. One of the things that I talk about in my book is that don't put aside people or their ideas just because they don't fit into your parameters of where information should come from that's going to encourage you, that's going to solve the problem. Okay, you need to be open to different people, older, younger, different races, different experiences. Someone may really have an answer, and it would be the last person that you would think of. One of the accounts that I give in the book is about one of the managers that reported to me at one time. And I asked him, I said, why don't you ever talk on conference calls? This is way pre-COVID, when everything was, only audio on conference calls. And he told me, he's like, you have everything to say. He's like, all the answers. There's nothing for me to add in. And I was wounded by that. I was like, this is how I'm coming off. So I told him, you're going to lead the meeting next week. And he'd always been a very quiet guy, great manager, but very quiet. This guy came alive a week later. I saw a whole nother side of him. And it really made me realize that A, I didn't know my managers. B, I was selling them short on, their abilities. And C, I needed to shut up and get out of the way.
Yeah.
But you know what I like about this, though? Let me just dive right in there. Let me be elbow you out, Steve. But no, Sean, you asked the question to your manager. Why are you so quiet? You cared enough to ask the question.
Yep.
And then you made the shift. I like using shift because that's in the other book we got. You made the shift in your own personality to recognize and be more self-aware that you maybe needed to let them come in a little bit more. And I'm betting then that your book is going to help other top level managers or just, any level be able to say, oh, I do that. I can get better at that. Like an aha moment like you had.
Absolutely.
What you're going to notice in that book, Sean, as I said, I didn't read the whole thing because you only sent me 9 chapters. I think I read 7 of the 9. What you're going to find out is that there are people that didn't believe at all are going to start making sense to it. And that's going to be the ultimate compliment, because that's what I'm getting from my book. It's written in layman's terms. It's the law of attraction without the metaphysical bullshit. It's just, this is what happened. There are universal laws that God created. If you live in accordance to that, your life will work. If you don't, you're going to have a difficult time.
Yeah.
But the good news is that it doesn't matter how many times you try to connect to that part of yourself. There aren't any mistakes. Just it's a process until finally you get it. And once you do, life becomes a lot easier. And it doesn't mean everything's going to fall in place. You're always going to be confronted with challenges. But if you're connected to that part of yourself, you just feel more comfortable knowing that there's something within you that can meet that challenge head on.
Absolutely.
And I like the fact that it sounds like, because I have not read it. I mean, it comes out on Tuesday and I certainly will get the Kindle copy, but I just almost feel like the way you're talking, and it's so easy to talk to you, and the way you're explaining it makes me feel like we make things so difficult in life. But
we make things so hard.
Like we can take anything and just dissect it and just make it so over the top, like difficult. But it sounds like your book is going to just break it down. It's going to be an easy read that we can understand.
Yeah, it is.
Make it realize that life really isn't that hard,
Yeah.
I certainly hope that is people's experience, that when they read it, that what I really hope when they read it is they read it and they say, well, I knew everything in this book already. And my response to that is good, go do.
Yeah.
You know what you said earlier?
If you knew everything in it, because sometimes I'll read it and I'm like, this is so obvious. Or my wife has read select parts of it. And she'll look at me and she's like, this is kind of obvious. I'm like, yes, it is.
We need to remind
you. We always do it. And she's like, well, no.
Yep. Well, that's why again, yeah. In my book, Bob talks to Bernie, and he calls them common sense success strategies. Common sense strategies that will take you to a better place in your life. We're born with it. We are. It's innate. It's a part of who we are. And when I read your book, I'm saying, wow, it's got stuff. Your book, I'm talking about. It's got stuff. You got things going in your book is what I'm saying. No, you really do. And you know what I'd like to do right now? We have some really good comments. Let's go through some of the comments.
All right.
And Debbie, you read them.
While you're putting the comments up, one other thing I want to say to you. I love that you said as you reread your book and you reread your book, it reminds you of what you've written. And sometimes we got to take our own advice. And so, you reading it going, yeah, I wrote that. And that is so true.
Oh yeah.
It's like, I love that. That's so fun.
Thank you.
What you're really going to like, Sean, is when somebody in your family throws your book in front of you when you're in a bad mood and says, maybe you better read chapter 3.
Take your own advice, Steve-O, Rizzo.
Yeah.
Little known fact, Sean's middle name is Marie, after his great grandmother.
That's not true.
Eric's always good for a comment.
Yeah.
Is that true?
No, it's Martin.
I like this comment from my
Bam Bam. And then Laurie says, we all can use an editor in our life. I know I do. I think I need one all the time, just helping me out with what I say to people during the day. Marion's guess, I believe I have heard the voice of God twice. Wow.
That's great.
That's amazing.
I've known Marion for 40 some odd years, and Laurie Ficken too.
Barry says, wow, moved more by inspiration than by ambition. That's powerful. Thanks.
You're welcome.
And Eric Bam, empowering others is a rare but amazing talent. You're right, Bam Bam. Where are you, Bam?
Indeed.
Eric, we need to talk. I just want to let you know that on a personal level. I'm going to tell everyone.
Hey, who are you talking to?
No, we really need to talk.
Barry, always need reminders of the obvious. Always. 100%. I always say when I'm talking to my kids, sometimes I give them advice and I'm like, now remember, blah, blah. And at the time I'm like, yeah, I remember, Debbie.
Yeah, I know. I know. Let's a few more comments and then we're going to wrap up. And I just want to remind people about Sean's book. And Sean, I want you to give them all the information on what to do as far as going to Kindle and all that stuff. But a few more comments, Bruce, if you can throw them up.
51 years.
That's how long I've known you. Well, you're counting them.
Wow, that's a long time.
I love that woman. She's a
so you were 6 when you met.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's it.
There
yeah.
You go.
Actually, I'm 71 years old, but hey.
That's amazing.
You know what? I know. I want to be him when I grow up. He's in great shape. He doesn't act it.
As a matter of fact, my birthday, my 71st birthday will be February 15th this year.
Wow.
So, Sean, I expect a gift.
What do you mean this year? Is it different next year? It's February 15th this year. What is it? February 16th next year?
No, I mean, I'll be 71 this year. That's what I meant.
There we go.
There you go.
There we have it. Eric Flanoy. I love him. Definitely looking forward to the book. Yes, Eric, you're such a great guy. Thanks for
Eric, you're going to love his book. I know you love mine, but you're going to love his book. You really will. I know you will.
Let's let Sean tell us again how we can get we're starting with the Kindle, guys, for 99 cents. Right. Give us the deets.
So the first thing you need to do is open up another tab right now and go to proverbsforleadership.com and put in your name, email address, and cell phone. Okay. And then on Tuesday, you will end up getting an email with a link to go directly to Amazon to purchase the book, and you'll get other emails from me periodically with encouraging information. Yeah, that must be the mobile version that Bruce has up now. That would be other emails with encouraging information and information about other things that I'm doing within the community that I am building around Proverbs for Leadership. So if you don't sign up, you won't get the notifications. And you would just go to Amazon on Tuesday, type in Proverbs for Leadership Sean, S-E-A-N, And hopefully it'll take you right to the book that way. When there's new books, they don't necessarily always come up quick. You have to scroll through. So the best thing you can do is go to proverbsforleadership.com. Right there is the sign up form. Fill it out, hit sign up. You'll get a text confirmation, and you'll find out more as we go ahead.
Just while you were talking, I put my name, email, hit submit. It said submitted, and boom, I got a text.
There you go.
So I just making sure you were legit. I guess.
Otherwise, your ass would have been thrown off the show.
I would have been like, Bruce,
you click and I disappear.
Get him out of there. Yeah.
Hey, Sean, thank you so much for being on the show. I wish you the best. If there's anything else I can do to help you to promote the book, let me know. Folks, I read 7 chapters, at least 7 chapters of the book. You're going to love it. And I know you will. I guarantee it. And what is this? Will there be a Canadian version?
Yes. If you sign up, you will get the link, and I'll make sure that on Tuesday, when I send it out, I'll send out both the US link and Canadian link. But I would think if you even clicked on the US link, Barry, it would just take you to the Canadian version. Steve and Debbie, thank you so much for having me on the show tonight to talk about my book. It's been interesting. I've done a couple of these already, and the conversations are always different depending upon who I'm talking to. And you guys really brought out some passion in me, and passion is in my book. So thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity.
You're welcome. Thank you for being on the show. I really do appreciate it. Wonderful. And for considering to be on the show, I really do appreciate it. And you're right. Your book is about passion. So it'll take you to be the best person that you can be. And that's what we should all be striving for. Not to be the best person in the world, to be the best person you can be. That's all we should be striving for. So, and Lori Justin Ficken says, Ferraro says,
so it's easy. Just click and sign up real quick, guys, so you don't miss out on it and you don't want to forget. So yes, Laurie, me too. Same here.
Yep. You guys, thank you so much, Sean. Deb, I love you. Stay on. We're going to end it here, folks. Thank you so much. Tell your friends about Sean's book. And if you want to wait until you read it first, that's fine. But get the message out, because that's what we do when we write books. Our goal is to get the message out. And it's not an ego thing. It's coming from here. Love you all. Thank you. Tell your friends and family, co-workers about the show. If you don't, I'll be knocking on your door. And I mean that. Take care, everyone.
Have a good night. Bye,
everyone.
Go on.